is President Sheridan. I have consulted with Captain Lockley and we've reached a decision regarding the current situation. It is not the policy of the Interstellar Alliance or this station to bargain with terrorists for the lives of hostages. If we open that door even once, we will never be able to close it again. You have two choices. Surrender, or we will use lethal force to bring you down. You have 10 minutes.
And even the president, despite his liberal attitudes, knows that you can't let killers get away.
How can I leave you?
I'm already gone. It's too late for me. But not for the others. They are my life's work. And my redemption for sins past. You cannot save my life. But you can save my soul.
Remember, Byron.
On an all-new Babylon 5,
This will be over by morning.
Vester's troops strike hard,
We need to fall back, consolidate our forces, buy a little insurance.
and desperate telepaths take desperate measures.
I'd hoped for some valuable hostages, but I never thought we'd come up aces.
But when Sheridan won't deal,
Surrender, or we will use lethal force to bring you down.
will Garibaldi pay the price?
Swell.
Watch an all-new Babylon 5 next Wednesday night at 10 on TNT.
You have transmissions holding.
Patch incoming signal. Full audio and video decode.
Purple files accessed.
What you are about to see has never been shown to anyone outside the Grey Council.
Hello, everyone out there in podcast land. Welcome to Gray 17, a Babylon 5 podcast, a part of the Front Row Network and NPR Illinois Community Voices. We're a group of newbies watching Babylon 5 for the very first time, and a group of oldies who are watching for the umpteenth time. And we are here today to talk about Phoenix Rising. Guys, I took 2 weeks off so I can get away from Byron. So I came back from being dead, which is nice. I timed that really well. I'm Scott, and with me is
Emily,
Justin,
Nicole,
and Kevin.
Before we get started, a reminder to check out all the links down below. We've got our social media accounts, including Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And if you want to join us over our Discord, you can do that by joining our Patreon. And thank you to our Grey Council members. Those are the producers listed down below who provide the largest donation every single month on our Patreon. We really do appreciate it. And please be sure to like, subscribe, follow, click all of the buttons except for that down arrow on YouTube. Everything else, click. And if you could, the best thing you could do for our show is to leave us a review over on Apple. That really does help us get the word out. And we did get a couple more reviews in, guys. I have picked one that I feel works for my return after 2 weeks of vacation, and that is from Tampa Brett. Although they are a brat, so that works too. Finally, 5 stars. Great mix of new and old. It's a clever format that puts this podcast above most other episode review style shows. I've been waiting for the main host to take a week off, as he's the only downside to the show. This week's episode gives me a chance to rate it 5 stars. Tampa Brett, first off, I created the design of it, so congratulations for liking that part. I appreciate it. But also, if you would like to pay for more vacations for me, feel free to donate to the Patreon. I'll be happy to go on more cruises. Thank you. Also, guys, I'm just moving on. I'm just like, okay, whatever. I'm just moving on. I'm fine. I am not a human. I'm an Asimov robot, as we discussed in this episode.
Yeah, he just needs to motorboat some boobs. He'll feel better.
Who's volunteering? Damn. Justin?
Come get it.
I don't think I'm allowed to step foot in Indiana, sir. It's kind of like Texas, although I did do that. I was going to say a positive, guys, is we are the number 6 TV review podcast in the Netherlands.
Ooh. Nice. Well, everyone there is on drugs, so.
And listening to us.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
I love me some Amsterdam, so hello to my Dutch brethren.
Please continue to listen. We need your help.
Please.
and leave reviews. I don't think we've ever gotten a Netherlands review.
That'd be cool.
But you're all listening. So, hook us up with
Send a
5
shout out.
with 5 stars. Okay, so as you probably have seen by our little roll call, we're a little light in the staffing department this week. Some of our folks are out for work, illness, or just wanted to get the fuck out of Dodge for a while. Don't blame them. But we will have our folks back next week. But we're still here to talk about Phoenix Rising. And before we get started with our first impressions, I believe Nicole has got a synopsis.
Yes. So the telepath situation becomes critical as they fuck around. Bester attempts to take control, triggers a strong reaction to Garibaldi, and Bester also shows his true colors on what a dickhead he is and makes everything worse and ruins everything.
Nicole, would you say they found out as well?
They also found out, yes.
Okay, just checking. I do believe they did find out.
Yes.
Okay, let's get into our first impressions with our newbies. Emily, you first. First impressions on Phoenix Rising.
Was that it for the telepath war? Do we get more? Like, if there was all that buildup and that was the end of it, I might be a little bit pissed.
When are you not?
I mean, that's a really solid question, and basically never. I am basically always in some state of irritated or pissed off. It's a problem.
Emily, I can absolutely confirm that there will be at least one telepath on one of the episodes between now and the end of the series.
Lita did not go boom. Yay.
Yeah, I was happy about that. I was gonna be mad if she was a part of that very, very creepy scene where they all sing and then blow themselves up.
Justin, would you like to add to Emily's pissed offedness?
I mean, not necessarily pissed offedness, but that has to be the dumbest fucking death scene I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen a lot of death scenes in my time. Just a couple observations. I mean, we all know Bester's a total dick, but this was a great Bester episode. This was a great Garibaldi episode. Like, literally watching what we all know as the Garibaldi scene that we saw at the end of the damn season 4. Now we actually see this come to light. This was a great Garibaldi episode. Another observation is I didn't know that throwing lunchboxes could honestly repel what are essentially space marines, as we saw in that thing where he's like mentally chucking shit at the security guys, and he makes them retreat. I didn't know like throwing lunchboxes was a viable weapon option. So that was kind of one thing I learned today.
Clearly didn't go to public school in the 90s.
Oh, no, I did, believe me. But if either Tracy or Patricia want to hook up with a fat Scottish guy, look me up.
Justin's feeling rather lonely right now.
They both looked really fucking good in this episode, and I'm sorry to come off as sexist, but I can't help but feel the way I feel. But going back to Garibaldi, this has to be one of my favorite Garibaldi episodes, and he has to go back to being probably one of my favorites, even though the guy got fucking RoboCop by Bester.
Mm-hmm.
Straight up RoboCop. It had some good, it had some bad. I give this episode a C.
Nicole, first impression.
Well, this was quite the episode. I have a lot of mixed emotions about it. So, you know how I've had a bad feeling that something was going to happen to Franklin? I thought he was toast. And I was like yelling at the TV. I was like, if anyone harms my Franklin. And then I also noticed the callback to that. We saw that scene with Garibaldi. So that was like, oh my God, is this where Garibaldi dies? Like, I was like freaking out thinking Garibaldi was going to die. And then Byron saves the day. And I was like, what the fuck? I hate you. So now I have to like you for saving Garibaldi. Like, what the hell? So here's how I feel about this episode. I thought it was good. There was a lot of action, a lot of things that happened. Lita flexed her powers a little bit, so that was kind of cool. We learned a little bit more about Byron and who he was and his backstory, which I thought that was cool. Here's where I feel conflicted. Bester was a straight up dick to Garibaldi in that scene. And I was infuriated because, you know, I love Garibaldi. He's my homie. I was really pissed about how Bester treated him and like just how cocky and arrogant and shitty he treats everybody. And it really makes me mad. Then at the end, I almost felt a twang of empathy for him. And I was like, fuck, I don't want to like him in any way. But he is a damn good actor. The thing about Walter Koenig, that's his name, right?
Mm-hmm.
He makes his character so easy to hate, but you love to hate him. You know what I mean? It's like Nickelback. You love to hate him. You know? But at the end of the episode, when he was like, I don't understand, I felt bad for him. And I was like, no, he's the devil. Don't feel bad for him. And then, as we all know, I have not liked Byron since the beginning. And then I kind of was like, oh, he kind of saved the day in many ways. And I was kind of starting to feel empathetic towards Byron and kind of like, oh man, I like him now. Like, he saved Garibaldi. He's trying to make it peaceful. And then Buster intervenes. But the the singing the creepy song and then killing yourselves, that was a little bit too much. I was like, come on, man.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
My emotions were up and down throughout this whole episode. And I'm just glad that Franklin didn't die. That's all.
I love that you're conflicted now. Wait for 2 episodes.
Oh, shit.
2 episodes from now.
Spoiler alert.
I'm looking forward to how you handle.
Am I going to start to like Buster?
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
I do, it's a cliche, but Nicole, what they say is the best villains are the heroes of their own story, and I think you kind of get that too here too. Buster's like his whole thing is, I'm just trying to get the telepaths on top, man. We're not supposed to be fighting each other. What the fuck, Kevin? First impression.
I like this episode. It's got a lot to chew on, so I'm looking forward to talking about the Garibaldi and Buster scene and the death scene at the end, the alcohol. But I think the big reveal that Garibaldi has been programmed in a way that keeps him from being able to harm Buster is the thing that I've been waiting for a while to see the reaction from the newbies, because that is huge. And there was only one other scene since that all happened, and Lockley kept, Garibaldi from doing anything to Buster. So this was the big reveal, and I thought it was really cool the way that they filmed that. So I can't wait to talk about that. But there was a ton in this episode. I'm not convinced I like the ending the way that it is, but let's talk about it.
Yeah, once again, the newbies and the oldies may be opposed to each other, because I enjoy this episode too. I think that the big problem holding back this episode is that the telepath arc went way too damn long. They've been going since episode 1. Nicole, to your point, since last episode of season 4, we knew something was up. And I think if we could have condensed these down to a few less episodes, we would be having a different conversation about Byron and everything, but we'll talk about that too. But I also love that there's a lot of nerd stuff in here too. Justin, you mentioned the RoboCop thing. I love Isaac Asimov. Foundation is an amazing series. The robot books he's put out is amazing. And honestly, if we do not die from AI in the next few years, it's going to be because of Asimov's rules. So the fact that they called those out too, I enjoyed. But let's go ahead and dive in. And Kevin, you called out the Garibaldi Buster stuff, so let's talk that first.
So the way they filmed that was really great, because they bring Garibaldi into that scene, where Buster's walking in, and Buster acts like he's really in some sort of peril. And then in the middle of the scene, they flip it. And it's clear, because if they had filmed it a different way, you would have been, the audience would have been like, all right, what's going on here? Like, something's wrong. He doesn't seem like he's in peril. And I just love the twist during that scene. I think it's filmed so well. And I got to call out David Eagle for his direction of this episode. I think that the last couple that we've seen him direct have been pretty darn good. And I really do enjoy this episode. But that scene in particular, as you pointed out, Nicole, Walter Koenig is a great actor, and that really comes out in this episode in particular. And if it matters to anybody, this is, if not one of Walter Koenig's favorite episodes, it might be his actual favorite episode.
Justin.
Yeah, just the way that those two played off of each other during this entire scene. And the question that I guess I have coming out of this is, why does Buster love fucking with Garibaldi so much? Like, he's a toy to him. And maybe it's the whole view, his whole viewpoint of telepaths being, supreme to mundanes, but just the way he brainwashed him when he was on Mars and everything like that. And then coming back now to where he's installed these neural blocks on him to where he can't attack him. And then to your point, Kevin, he just goes and he just flips, and you can tell he's just toying with him the entire time. And I would love to actually see if that ever maybe gets explained as to why Bester zeroes in on Garibaldi like that, to where why is he picking out of everyone else on the station? Why did he pick Garibaldi to screw around with the most? So that's I guess one of my questions coming out of this scene, because it's, yeah, honestly, if Garibaldi had every right and still has every reason to blow him away, and then he just can't. So that's why I made the RoboCop reference, and like Scott, you made the Asimov reference, where you can't attack your creators, and that is what, to me, Bester views Garibaldi as. Bester views Garibaldi as his creation, one way or the other. So it's, to me, it was, yeah, a mind-blowing scene out of this episode.
The 3 laws of robotics are: a robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. A robot must obey the orders given it by human beings, except where such orders would conflict with the first law. And 3, a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second. Nicole, hi. It's not sci-fi. Continue.
So I kind of want to respond to something Justin said, and then I'll get into my original comment. Justin, you asked about why does Bester fuck with Garibaldi so much? And here's my theory, which I could be completely wrong. Garibaldi hates the telepaths as much as Ivanova, essentially, right? And I feel like he chose Garibaldi because he hates telepaths. He doesn't trust them. He gives them shit all the time. And he's a really quintessential part of Babylon 5. So that's my theory on why I think Bester has chosen him. But like you said, I also feel like, yeah, he toys with him. And the thing about this scene that really got me was, well, first of all, in the very beginning, when Bester was talking to Lockley, he says, I enjoy being good at what I do. And he was just really cocky and arrogant. And then that kind of continues throughout the episode as you see him talking to Garibaldi. And yeah, at first he seems like he's in danger. And then all of a sudden, I was almost like, wait, what's happening? Because I was confused, because he was just like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to sit over here and pour my water. And I was like, wait a second. I'm confused, because obviously Garibaldi didn't shoot him when he had the chance to. And I was like, why isn't he doing it? Is it a conscience thing? And then he says that he, won't let him do it or whatever. And then what I really kind of got irritated about was when Bester said, I stopped you from being able to harm me, but I left all the rage. Ironic, isn't it? Like, he was just really being a dick. And it was really frustrating. And you could just see on Garibaldi's face just the frustration. I really thought they had a good chemistry between them in this episode. I've noticed them interact before, but I really feel like this one specifically had more chemistry than I've ever witnessed before between Bester and Garibaldi. And I thought it was really good. And I thought they both played their parts really, really well. And like I said, it's like you love to hate Bester, because Walter Koenig is so good at what he does. And it's so hard to just like not hate him. Like, I don't know. It's crazy. So anyway, I really thought that could have been an award-winning scene, to be honest. There's got to be a way, hopefully, that Garibaldi can break these blocks and end Bester, because he's never going to be able to live his life without that over him, I think.
Emily.
So to Justin's question about like why Garibaldi was picked, I mean, we know he picked Garibaldi for the plan because Garibaldi was close to Sheridan and just naturally suspicious. There wasn't a whole lot of extra work that had to go into that mindfuck. As for why he continues to fuck with him, I think it's just straight up evil arrogance. It's his way of showing, this is how good of a telepath I am. Look what I have done to you. And it's just basically a cat keeping a mouse alive and keeps playing with it.
You hit it. I was going to make the same analogy, just like poking at it.
Mm-hmm.
Emily, I think you nailed it.
And he knows it makes Garibaldi that mad, but Garibaldi can't kill him. But it doesn't mean Garibaldi can't do other stuff to get at Bester.
We shall see. First, Garibaldi needs to not drink himself stupid. Then we'll see what happens.
Oh, I assumed he was behind the whole bombing of the...
That's what I thought too. Yeah.
I thought that was the entire implication with that. But I was going to ask a question about timing of how would the timing work for him to have gone and blown it up.
You thought Garibaldi blew something up?
The Psy Corps headquarters.
Yes.
No, because they wrote Free Byron, and Garibaldi wouldn't have wrote that.
Garibaldi was on the station.
But he has contacts on Mars. He has a lot of contacts on Mars.
Okay.
He could have very easily helped arrange that to happen.
And and it was the whole like, yeah, it says free Byron, but it doesn't mean he wouldn't utilize their movement to cover his tracks.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Garibaldi is also,
We don't even need Jessi for conspiracy time. We've got it right here.
Yes,
I
I can
stand-
do it very well if you'd like.
I stand behind it. I 100% agree with Emily.
Well, I thought that was the implication, so yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Justin?
I guess maybe if I had to pick a reason as to why Bester picked Garibaldi, even Sheridan even said in the episode, Garibaldi's been on the station longer than pretty much anyone else. So he knows all the ins and outs. He knows everything about the station. He knows everything that's going on. So I guess that would make a good sense of any. But yeah, Emily, I'm 100% on your boat. I think Garibaldi was behind the bombing of the Psi Corps headquarters.
I didn't get that at
Nicole's
all.
got a question.
Yeah, I
You
didn't
did
get that
not
at
think
all.
that-
No, but again, I don't know shit about sci-fi, and I'm kind of ditzy, so
I don't even
I
know if
didn't get
I
that.
don't know if that's sci-fi. That's more like
I don't think you
NCIS.
have to
Bomb
be
the
like sci-fi to think somebody's behind a bombing like that, but
Oh, I don't know. I thought maybe it was a sci-fi trope or something, but I didn't get that. I just thought he was drinking because he can't get over the fact that he can't kill Bester, and he's trying to maybe like numb his mind, kind of like how we saw Londo numbing his mind to quiet the keeper and tells Jakar to kill him. I feel like I thought maybe Garibaldi was drinking because he's trying to numb his mind so he can maybe get over those blocks. Like that's his way of trying to get over the block. That's kind of what I took from it. But
Well, he had a shopping bag with him that he set down, which
Yeah.
seemed weird because I don't think we've ever seen Garibaldi acknowledge that shopping happens other than trying to get contraband food in through like the mail
Yeah.
service.
It just shows consciousness of thought that he physically had to go and buy what, he didn't have it, he didn't steal, like he had to go and make a conscious choice to go get that alcohol, came home, opened the bottle, thought about what he was doing, and still did it anyway.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's I mean, a lot of us have dealt with alcoholism with family and everything else, and he's falling off the wagon, and they're just showing you, in my opinion, they're just showing you that. Kevin, you said it. I mean, he's been dry for what, over a year now, 2 years, and so dude had to go to the store, and you're right. I mean, he decided that tonight I'm going to drink, and that bottle was big.
I thought the shopping bag was kind of a cover so he could be like, no, I wasn't blowing anything up. I was out shopping and getting groceries, and I came home and had a drink, even though I haven't drank in forever. Like some sort of
Your son, when he gets to an age where he like starts being a devious teenager, is in so much trouble because he's never going to be able to get away with anything. I saw the grocery bag. Nicole.
When did you go to IKEA?
So since we kind of started talking about it, I just have to say it broke my heart when I actually saw him take the drink. I thought maybe he'd look at it and then change his mind and dump it. But when he took the drink, it broke my heart because one, I know that he struggled with that on the show, but also I know that he was an alcoholic in real life, and ultimately it kind of ended his life. So it literally, I felt my heart hurt, and I felt like I was watching someone regress in real time, like have a relapse in real time. And imagine you're clean and you're sober, and the desperation and the hopelessness that you have to feel in order to reach for that bottle. And he literally, like Kevin said, he had the bag, he had to go buy it, and then he did it. And it fucking killed me, man.
Yeah, so we've discussed this, but since we haven't had this storyline in a while, we haven't discussed it in a while. But Jerry Doyle was an alcoholic, and he passed away due to complications with alcoholism, was on the autopsy. And I hate bringing up all this stuff when the guy isn't here to defend himself, but what we've heard from other cast members over the years is that he was kind of an asshole on set. And part of it was because he was a drinker and he was a jackass on set. And in JMS's autobiography, he mentions that throughout the 5 years, a lot of people tried to do interventions. A lot of people tried to get him on the wagon. And at the last day of filming, Jerry, to prove a point, took a shot just to say, I'm leaving the same way I came in. And unfortunately, several years later, it took him.
Yeah, and there are people that think that he was given this type of storyline a couple of times, maybe not initially, but throughout the rest of the run, because it was a subtle message that, hey, this is hurting you. and it seemed like it pushed him the other way, which is really unfortunate.
Justin.
Yeah, because I think I remember somebody saying something at some point about he was like an out and proud alcoholic. Like he would boast about it. He would make a scene about it or something like that. So it's definitely a bummer, like watching Garibaldi do that, knowing everything that both the actor and the character have been through. You know, I've known some alcoholics in my life and could maybe consider myself a borderline alcoholic at times, who knows? But it's definitely rough when you're at a point in your life where I think Garibaldi is at when in that scene where you feel like you have completely lost control of your own life. His whole mission ever since he was taken by Psychor is to end Bester, and he can't even do that. He tried to incorporate the Telepaths into a larger intelligence network for the Alliance. That failed. He has completely lost control of his everything about his life. So the fact that, you know, he will go and sit down and be like, you know what, fuck it at this point. And I think that's in the mood that he's in right now. He is in fuck it all mood, where he will sit down and be like, you know what, I've lost the Telepaths. I promised Sheridan that I would, and luckily that I would incorporate them and help control them. He failed at that. He can't even get near Bester because Bester still, even though his main, I guess, call it a spell, but his main spell is broken, but Bester still has control over him, regardless of anything else that's happening. As much as this pains me to say, I can't blame him for sitting down and taking a drink. You know what? I've lost all rest control of my life. I might as well, like you said, Scott, go out the way I came in. We'll talk about the bombing a little bit later. But I think that's kind of where Garibaldi's head is right now, is he is literally hitting rock bottom, and it's not because of the alcohol.
I think to add one more piece to that is we're about halfway through the season, which is chronological. So it's been 6 months of him trying to claw his way back from being the guy who almost took out his friend by being brainwashed. Yeah. So he's spent 6 months trying to be the best Garibaldi he can be. And then Bester just shits on his face again.
And he failed.
Yeah.
And he failed.
Yep. So you're completely right. He's just like, fuck it. I'm not in control. So let's go ahead and move into the telepath piece. The last time, unless he comes back from the dead, which happened a few episodes ago, the last time we'll talk about Byron, let's talk about the telepath.
Maybe this is a good time to talk about it since we're transitioning, and I still want to kind of bring Bester into this. So I got 2 questions about Bester related to really both storylines. Number one is, doesn't Sheridan have the ability to, in some way, make Bester being on the station illegal or persona non grata? I mean, doesn't he have anything that he can throw at this guy that would keep him away from them before this even happens? And honest to God, after this episode, the events of this episode, why isn't he being arrested as being someone who is absolutely culpable for what we just watched happen with the telepaths? Because that was a peaceful, and voluntary surrendering of themselves. And Bester comes in, and he'd already been told he can't interfere. And he comes in, interferes, everything goes badly. Why is he not being arrested? I don't understand. And given that he already has a history and already caused, horrible problems for Garibaldi, Sheridan, and the rest of the station, like, why is he even on there in the first place? I just don't get it.
You're completely right, because, I mean, every time a cop escalates a situation, they're always fired.
Oh, boy.
You can send your comments, too. I don't care. Justin.
This has to be one of the worst death scenes I've ever seen in my life. I wasn't surprised, because how many episodes ago did Byron tell Lita, there's going to be a point where I'm going to ask you, Byron went into this knowing he was going to be a martyr. He intended to be a martyr. He was just looking for his opportunity. Bester gave it to him. And that's all that this is. Yeah, Bester's a jackass, and he completely violated what he was told. And I guess to kind of answer Kevin's question a little bit, I don't know if Sheridan has the power to keep him off the station, because Lockley was the one that called him in, and this was an EarthGov deal. Regardless of what Sheridan thought or how Sheridan felt about it, I really think that Bester had every right to be on the station because he was a guest of EarthGov, which who Lockley represents. If I were Sheridan, I would definitely find a way to like arrest him and hold him accountable for his actions at least. And maybe that still happens. We haven't watched the next episode yet. Honestly, I think all of this played into Byron's larger plan. I think Byron meant to be a martyr from the very beginning. And Bester didn't do anything but give him the opportunity to martyrize himself.
Cool.
Well, I don't necessarily agree with that. So first off, Bester was told that they were now not in jurisdiction and it was now Babylon 5's jurisdiction. So he was told to stand down by Lockley because they got the approval from Earth that they did not have jurisdiction anymore. Then they made an agreement. They were in the middle of processing it. Bester bust in. And that one shifty motherfucker in the back who I knew was going to cause some shit started shooting and everything went to hell. So Bester 100% ruined the peaceful part and it was all his fault. I don't think that Byron was meaning to be a martyr though, because he was, at least in the form of killing himself. They were going to surrender to Babylon 5, but then I believe they were going to let them leave, right? I don't know what they planned on doing with the people that were surrendering. And Byron was going to be one of them.
So they had two different groups. Anyone who was involved in any kind of crime was going to be arrested, but the rest of them were going to be allowed to leave the station on their own recourse.
Yeah. Okay. So Byron, I don't think was going to martyrize himself as in killing himself, but he was going to turn himself in and basically turn it over to Lita, essentially. But once the shooting and the killing started, that's when I think it flipped for Byron. And I think he was like, well, it's too late now. Also, I could not believe when he killed that long-haired bitch that was messing with Garibaldi and Franklin. I was never been so happy to see Byron in my life when he shot that stupid asshole. I was like, yes, I literally yelled at the TV. Okay. So I feel like I said, I feel like conflicted about Byron because I feel like he kind of redeemed himself a little bit because he saved Franklin and Garibaldi and all the other doctors and everyone in MedLab. He bartered a peaceful resolution and he was trying his best to be peaceful. And then Bester comes in and ruins everything. And then at that point, that's when he's like, it's too late for me. I can't save myself, blah, blah, blah. But the singing of that damn song. Come on, man. I kind of want to like tweet JMS and be like, bro, you did it to us twice. Why did you do this?
Nicole, I mean, I think Kevin brought it up the last time. Between the two of you, JMS and you, only one's been in a cult. So read into that as you will.
Yeah.
You may know more about it than you think.
And it also felt very cultish with the free Byron and Lita taking over as cult leader. I was like, come on, Lita. What the fuck? You know? It was a lot that happened and it was really dumb that they blew themselves up or whatever. But honestly, at the same time, I'm kind of like, good riddance. Get the fuck out of here. You've been here too long. You know what I mean?
You've been here for 12 episodes.
Yeah, like bye.
Move along.
We've had enough of you. So I'm kind of like not sad about it.
We would like more Centauri Prime, please. Move along. Move along.
Anything else? Anything else?
Kevin?
I do have some conflicted feelings about Byron and the whole storyline, and not all of it's great, but I really do like the reveal, and specifically in this episode where they did it, of what Byron's breaking point was and why he completely changed his life. I think that reveal is fantastic, and where they do it within the series, doing it in this episode right before they're killing off the character to really show his true motivations, or at least part of them, is a really cool way to do it. As far as some of the other stuff that we were just discussing with the death, I'm not sure that the whole thing makes particular sense. My guess is, and Scott, please chime in here, my guess is that they were probably going to try them on Babylon 5 using Babylon 5's court system. It didn't sound like they were going to send them back to Earth. And certainly if they were going to, it wasn't going to be with Bester and his bloodhounds.
The deal was Psychor could not be involved. I would assume that meant the capture as well, too.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like they should have seen it coming where Bester was going to interfere and detained him or tricked him. I mean, they could have Sheridan could have said, all right, I see what's coming. He was a incredible tactician in the first and second season, and all of a sudden he's a complete doof. So he could have been like, hey, you person that is not telepathic, I'm going to lie to you. Then you're going to go and tell Bester that this is all going down on the complete other side of the station. And he goes over to the complete other side of the station, doesn't interfere with anything, and everything's done because they probably don't have any reason to detain the guy, even though I think there is. But I'm very conflicted about this because I just don't know that it makes every bit of sense how Byron decides to just off himself and everyone that was in that group. But if you see him as a cult leader, then it makes every bit of sense. I'm not sure it's quite that easy, but that's just me. I don't quite get how I feel about it, even after having watched this a few times.
It could have been done better, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But it does make sense to me. And Justin, I'm with Nicole. I disagree with you. I don't think Byron was ever planning on being a martyr, ever. Zach Allen pointed out that he is a martyr, but everything we've seen with Byron is he doesn't want to be. He even locked himself away in Brown Sector with his other guys because he didn't want to be involved in that. And he only got involved because his other idiots decided to take MedLab. But in my opinion, the reason why Byron decides to check out is he tells you on the screen, he says, there's too much blood now. So we're all going to be in trouble. We're all going to be arrested. And now Psy-Corps is involved because we've shot at Psy-Corps again. So not only are we going to probably wind up with Psy-Corps again, but we know what Psy-Corps does to us. They're either going to give us the sleeper drugs, and so we're going to have to be mind dead for the rest of our lives, much like Ivanova's mom, or we're going to be maybe lobotomized like Talia was. There's a lot of shit that Psy-Corps could do to us, so we're just going to check out.
Something just happened, Scott. You convinced me that I like a storyline a hell of a lot more than I think I did. That was a very persuasive argument to me.
I mean, I've been saying it since we started watching season 5. I hate the storyline. I hate it. But this time, and I think it's because I'm watching it week to week without like binging it.
Yeah.
Byron did nothing wrong ever. He was stupid strategically. He was stupid strategically. Okay?
Yes.
But so he's like, I want my own planet. But even when he said that, he wasn't trying to be violent about it. What he did was he like, oh, we stole your secrets from your head. That was stupid strategically because then they had to push him back. But he never committed a violent act until he shot one of his own guys. He never dealt with anything in terms of setting up what happened in MedLab or set up like the guy being crucified. He did nothing of that. His people did.
Yeah.
And then he took the sacrifice for him. So the whole he's a martyr, I don't see it. I just don't.
Yeah, I agree with you, Scott.
Now they're going to turn him into a martyr. That's what Lita did.
Yeah. The only thing, and I just want to highlight one quick thing. I think the worst thing he did was he played the hand wrong, where he's like, hey, we've stolen all your secrets, give us what we want, or they're all getting out there. That was the dumbest, worst thing he did.
100%. Terrible strategic plan. But does it deserve to be arrested? Maybe for, espionage. But does he deserve to be shot and killed or kill himself? No. And he did nothing that deserved that. And he wasn't. I can see where you can see that it's like he planned out this stuff, but he didn't. He's like, oh God, my asshole buddies are doing it again. Hold on, let me go up there and stop them again. This time I'm going to shoot one of the motherfuckers because they don't listen. But all right.
Well, no, and Scott, I don't think he planned all of this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think like all of this is his doing. I still stand by my comment that I think he wanted to become a martyr for the telepath cause. And he was just looking for the opportunity to sacrifice himself. And Bester gave him that opportunity. That's all I'm saying. Why else would he tell Lita, there's a time I'm going to ask you to walk away from me, if he wasn't planning on doing something to himself that he didn't want to harm her in the process?
And I can see where you can see that. I'm just saying there's nothing that's been shown to me that takes me to that nth degree. Like even I can say with the Lita thing, hey, one of these times I'm probably going to get my ass arrested because that's what's going to happen. And I don't want you around because I don't want you arrested. He could have just meant that.
Well, that's fair too. But
everyone sees it differently. That's why it's art.
Yeah.
Emily.
I don't know that he wanted to be a martyr, but I think he absolutely knew Bester wasn't going to let him out alive, given their history. I think he like, whether or not his intent was to be a martyr, he knew he was getting killed, that he was not going to be the one walking away. Which is why he told Lita, you know, there will come a time you will have to walk away, because he knew it wasn't going to be him. But there's no way.
Allow me to beat this dead horse one more time.
Sir.
But even at the end of this episode, he said, I don't want Psychor involved. Because you're right, he knew if Psychor gets me, I'm in trouble. I don't want Psychor involved. He didn't.
And he's worked with Bester enough to know Bester's not going to allow that.
He was shocked when Bester showed up because Sheridan's an idiot, to Kevin's point.
Yeah.
And I will have to say that I don't think Sheridan is horseshit, because horseshit is actually useful.
I thought you were going to defend the man for a moment. I thought we were going to take a turn.
I feel like Lockley really made an error in judgment there too, but yeah, Sheridan, good Lord, come on, man.
When I was watching this episode, I had a question specifically for the newbies, but also, Kevin, you can answer it too.
Sure.
We know from Deconstruction of Falling Stars, the last episode of season 4, that Sheridan says this was my biggest mistake as president, was letting this colony form. So my question to all of you is, who's more to blame for this bullshit? Is it Byron, Sheridan, or Lockley?
Or Bester?
Well, Bester is sprinkled in like pepper everywhere. I get that. But of our three mains in this arc,
Bester is the seasoning for this shit show.
Bester was gonna fuck around no matter what.
Exactly. Okay. Whoever fucked up, Bester shows. But Lockley originally said, no, I don't want him here. But then even Lockley is like, okay, well, we'll work with you guys and everything else. Sheridan's like, oh yeah, stick around. It'll be great. We need you for our upcoming war. And then Byron's like, my guys don't listen to me. So who's at fault mostly?
Sheridan.
But of course, Emily says Sheridan.
You know,
immediately.
This is an interesting question, and it's kind of a tough one to answer because I think they all have their part in this.
Sure.
You know, like Sheridan let them stay. Lockley didn't want them there, which is fine. But then she helped them stay those extra 60 days or 90 days or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then Bester ruins it at the end. And Byron for bringing him there in the first place. So everyone has their hand in this. I don't think any one character is to fully blame. I think they all played their part in this, and they all fucked around and they all found out. It just really was too many cooks in the kitchen, and then the grease fire started.
Anyone else?
I would agree with Nicole. If I had to piece this out like a pie, I would give Sheridan like 50% of the blame. I would give Byron like 30%, and I would give Lockley like 20%. Because like I said, Bester's like the cheese on the apple pie where I don't know why people fucking eat that.
Exactly.
But we could have that whole discussion sometime. And if you want to email me about it, email me at idon'tgiveafuck@gmail.com.
That's the question of the day. Do you like that shit on your apple?
Do you like
why
do people eat cheese on fucking apple pie?
That's
my question for
Is this an Indiana thing? Because I've never once in my life had cheese on apple pie.
No, I think it's like a southern and
we all know the southern folks.
New York thing. Because like every time I was in Manhattan and I would go and they're like, do you want some apple pie for dessert? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm a fat guy. I like apple pie. And they're like, do you want cheese on it? I'm like, fuck no.
I want a big slab of vanilla ice cream, please.
Right. Yeah. That's but anyway, getting to my point, I 100% agree with Nicole that it's everybody's fault. Everybody fucked up on this one. And Bester was just the one to kind of stir the pot a little bit. He's stirring that gumbo with a big shit-eating grin on his face.
You would say he's the PPG shooting at the oil spill?
Yeah. You know, he's loving this shit.
Emily.
Okay. So we obviously know that I think Sheridan is primarily to blame for this absolute fuckery. Like, I don't blame Byron for them wanting a place to go and just like be themselves. I get it. That makes sense, right? And while I do think the whole "we stole secrets, give us what we want" was a bad move, Sheridan was basically like, yeah, you can stay here and you can work for us, and then did nothing about their actual request. It was yet again him just using people to get whatever he needs, and then like, toodaloo fuckers, I don't actually care. Which then put Lockley in a shitty position because she's like, well, fuck, what do I do now? So her options were quite limited. So yeah, still mostly Sheridan's fault.
Nicole.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Kevin.
She was going to say it's all Sheridan's fault as well.
No. I like Sheridan. I'm like you.
Wait for it. Kevin.
So I have 3 points. The first one has to do with the question of fault, and I honestly have to agree. I think it's more Sheridan's fault than the other two. I think it was a very poor piece of judgment on Lockley's part to call in Bester, even though she's had okay dealings with him in the past. They haven't been good on Babylon 5, really, and she knows what she's getting. Like, I think she believes Garibaldi, because she would at least believe Sheridan, and Sheridan would have shared that with her. So that just seems to me like, you know what you're getting, and you still called the fucker. So I honestly think she does bear some blame, but Sheridan, he brought or allowed them to stay against everyone else's objection, and then doesn't do shit for them after that, other than just say, hey, okay, you can stay, and then I'm out of it. I'm washing my hands, and I'm not doing anything else for you. I'm not going to help you get a homeworld. I'm not going to help you get into unknown territory, whatever, give you supplies, whatever. You're in the wind. So, and then, of course, Byron has culpability, but I do think that Sheridan just left them out to dry.
So Sheridan's Pontius Pilate, in your estimation.
I'm not sure I would
brought
go
religion in lately. Let's do it. So Byron is Jesus, huh?
So Byron is space psychic Jesus.
My second point has to do with Bester. It seemed to me, and this is the way I read it, that he wanted Byron either on board or dead. And he clearly had a great motive for wanting him dead if he wasn't coming back into Psy-Corps, and he had to know he wasn't going to do that. So I think he wanted him dead. So wasn't the last scene with Bester in this episode, wasn't that an act? It felt like an act to me. It felt like he was trying to shift culpability, or at least not share in any culpability, because it's like, I don't get it. I didn't want this to happen. Oh no,
Yeah,
what happened?
Yeah,
I think it was an act.
Again, much like with the Justin thing, you guys can see it, and I'm sure, I mean, that makes sense, but I think he was in a state of shock. I think Bester is a true believer, and Bester believes that the telepaths will come together, need to come together, especially the powerful ones like Byron being a P12. They will come together and fight off the mundanes. And he thought up until the very end that if I can get Byron back at Psy-Corps, we can make this work. Maybe I'll make it work, but we can make this work. And then when Byron offs himself, I think Bester was truly in a state of shock. That's how I read it.
And that's perfectly legit.
Well, I mean, but you guys are legit too. I mean,
yeah,
this is how you read it. I read it the exact opposite way.
Is it too legit to quit?
In fact, it is.
So you had a third one, sir.
I do. So this has to do.
Oh, that was only two?
That was two. Just calling him out as he goes. It's great.
Yeah.
Damn.
So my third one has to do with a production thing. So Robin Atkin Downs talked about finally getting to chew on something different in this episode and getting to film the Star Fury stuff. And so I know we've talked about this before, but I thought his description of this was really cool. So they talk about filming the Star Fury scene, and you have to be standing up. There's no way to sit in that part of the set. So he said, you're kind of holding yourself up in there, and you're also kind of squatting like you're squatting on a toilet, which is exactly the way he described it. And I thought that was it really, but he had a lot of fun doing it, despite how that doesn't sound comfortable to me, because he said he felt like Luke Skywalker, which I appreciate that description quite a bit. And the last thing I'll mention, which I know I'm breaking my three things, but it took them 12 and a half, maybe even 13 hours to film the scene with the big fight and then the death scene at the end.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. I mean, they started at 7:30 and they ended after 8 o'clock. So sounds like, 12 and a half, maybe 13, who knows?
Why?
It just lots of extras, lots of fighting, which always takes a lot of time on a set.
The one thing I noticed too, Kevin, I don't know if this was brought up in what you read, there's definitely a distinct change in cameras from different shots. And maybe it also is they used AI to up the HD on this for the newer versions. But there's like a scene where we see the crowd of Byron's crowd, especially the group behind Byron, where it's like grainy and darker and just like feels like it's filmed differently. And it goes back and forth. I don't know.
It took them 7 days to film this episode, which they had gone on to a new 6-day schedule. But I guess as soon as the assistant directors and the director got this script, they're like, there's no way we can do this in 6 days. And so I guess they convinced the producer, Copeland. So this is the only episode of season 5 that they did not do on the 6-day schedule. And they still didn't feel like they had enough time, which, believe me, the last thing I want to do is cast aspersions on any of the special effects in this episode. But it sounds like they may have had to rush some stuff just by their description of the production schedule.
That's quite possible. The 6-day thing was also a TNT mandate. TNT was trying to save money.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought the Star Fury thing, because we talked about this in Beyond the Rim when we had that long discussion about did Bo have consent or give consent when he was put his mind into the Star Fury.
Yeah.
And we talked about this Beyond the Rim because we knew that Byron was a Star Fury pilot, which you guys didn't yet. And so when you re-listen, newbies, it'll be interesting to see what you think about that, because perhaps one of our theories, it may have been Kevin, I can't remember at this point. One of the theories was maybe he didn't put Bo into another Star Fury pilot. Maybe he just, because he knew what it was like to fly, he just implanted that memory. So
to be fair, I don't think that was my theory.
Okay,
maybe it's too smart for me.
It was somebody.
It makes sense though.
It wasn't
honestly,
me.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Honestly, now that you say that, going back, it makes sense that he would have that knowledge to be able to give him that experience. So
I got one more curveball for you all. So we kind of alluded to originally this was going to be part of Ivanova's story.
Yeah.
So JMS was asked after Byron bit the big one, how would the Byron story have been different if Claudia Christian hadn't left? And JMS said, it's no secret that I would have had Ivanova becoming somewhat linked to Byron romantically. She would see him as a character like Marcus, which is why there are certain similarities. And she would take a chance only to find it wrong this time, underlying that she had missed her one major opportunity thus far for a good relationship, referring to Marcus. This was expressed to Claudia toward the last part of season 4. So she knew at the time that her latent ability would be coming out and that she would have a big part in season 5. And then he says, in this scenario, if Claudia had stayed on, Lita would have become a devoted follower of Byron, much as she has, but it would have been more of a love from afar, protective, somewhat unrequited, but hoping for more, so that when he met his fate, Lita would end up right where she is now, just by a different road.
So kind of like the Lanier of
that
whole story.
Without the But so my question to all you, now that you've seen the story play out, and now you've kind of heard what JMS would have plugged Ivanova in and kept Lita in, would that have changed anything for you in terms of the story?
Yes, I'm glad that didn't happen, because it would have tarnished our sweet, precious Ivanova, and I would have not liked that very much.
Well, she was going to learn that he wasn't the guy for her, but...
I know, but still, she would have wasted her time.
I actually think I would have enjoyed it more.
Would it have involved nightgowns?
Or actually, I would assume.
I would hope.
Would the sex scene do a Claudia then? Question mark.
What year did they allow butt shots on TV?
Well, I was gonna say
blue, right?
Yeah.
The sex scene would have been awful because it would have been Ivanova and Byron, and I think it was awful enough with Lita. Don't tarnish our Ivanova.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna be the contrarian and say I would. Well, you guys said you didn't like it either for reasons too, but I wouldn't like it because already I think the weakest part of this story is Lita not having agency once again. She just runs off to another man.
Yeah.
With this, it would have been unrequited love. So she'd be like, oh, Byron. But then Byron wouldn't give a shit because he's banging Ivanova. So that's even less for Lita to do.
Yeah.
I only have one takeaway from this whole thing. It means that Claudia Christian would have deserved more money for season 5.
Absolutely.
Well, she was being told she was going to have something to do, which, I mean, it would have made sense because we have known about Ivanova's secret since season 1. So the idea that never really became anything big makes sense because it was going to be season 5. That's when her secret was going to become a thing. So, but we never got it. Sad day. Anything else you guys want to talk about with the episode before we move on?
I have an inappropriate question.
I'm shocked, Emily. Shocked.
So during Byron and Lita's intimate moments, and the walls being removed and trauma dump happening. Did her trauma dump overpower his? Because I feel like being Bester's number 2 might have been like one of those trauma dump secrets that happen. Or did he just never get far enough for that? That's something that would have been revealed during that moment, maybe?
Maybe he just came too quickly.
I mean,
it's always the guy's problem, is it not?
I think he left the wall up. I think she brought all of hers down, and he left that wall up because he didn't want anyone to know, especially her.
Also, we just don't know how powerful Lita is now, too. She could be more than a P12, and she just overpowered him. But I like the idea of him locking that away because he's not really an open type of guy.
But I thought during that moment, you lost the ability to do that.
I don't know if I can't. I'd have to go back and listen to Talia talk about telepaths making love, which, by the way, that meme has died and it needs to come back.
No, I don't think it needs to come back.
It was all over the interwebs for quite a while.
Yeah, it was.
For you guys who aren't on the B5 Facebook pages because you're not allowed to be yet, that meme got far.
Yeah.
Far enough to get the walls down.
Chakra when the walls fell. It's a whole nother show.
You love the smut fan fiction, girl. You know, write that up the way that you would want to see it.
I would not be writing smut fanfic with Byron.
Emily fanfic. There we go. We still have to do the script reading of when Jakar becomes...
Oh, we do.
We need to get that done. I have the script. We need to get that done. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and wrap things up for this episode and for Byron, yay, with your questions and predictions. For those of you who have not been with us before, okay, we ask our newbies who haven't watched past Phoenix Rising is if they have any other questions or predictions of what's going to happen next. And because our guys don't follow directions, I already have the questions. Was that it? Is that the telepath war? And then, does Garibaldi ever get to end Bester? What other questions do we have, Justin?
I have a question about was Garibaldi behind the bombing? Answer, he was. And then, so was this, and this may not be behind the rim. So if it's not, you can answer me right now.
Could circle the rim a little bit.
Just circle it. Just, you know, just get around, just get around the edge a little bit.
Thank you for taking that one step too far. I appreciate it.
That's what I do. The Garibaldi scene where we all thought he was going to die because we thought he was going to die back in the season 4 finale. Was that just did they just re-air that episode, or did they have to go back and reshoot it?
No, it was not reshot, because if you look at it too, it's kind of haphazard because the long-haired people are clearly not the same actors.
Yeah.
And then they pivot, and you got the one guy with the long black hair. It's just,
yeah.
They literally took, I mean, even to the, like I mentioned, the camera work looked different in the fight scene. In that one, you can see it's a little bit more grainy.
Some of it's stock and some of it's different.
The entire thing where he's sitting at the desk with the broken 1996 monitor in front of him.
Yeah.
That was all lifted from deconstruction.
Okay, those are my questions. Predictions. I think Garibaldi and Leader are going to go after Bester to try and hunt him down and take him down. EarthGov will turn against Psycor, and I still think Garibaldi and Lockley are going to smash bathing suit parts.
You keep trying to cuck Lee's, man. Come on.
You know what? It's hoes in different area codes, bro. She's not around. She's back on Mars.
Boy. Oh boy. Okay.
Since we talked about Asimov, that was actually a big thing with Arthur C. Clarke. He always, not always, but he would just like fit in, like during space time, we would have wives in multiple ports.
It's the Navy thing.
Oh boy.
So I don't think I would necessarily blame him for trying to hit that, because I would in a heartbeat.
In Rendezvous with Rama, Commander Norton has a wife on Mars and a wife on Earth, and they exchange Christmas gifts. I don't know how that works, but great.
Yeah, it's a thing, man. It's a thing.
Emily, questions, predictions.
Question number 1 really was at it for the telepath war like that, because that feels like the first battle. Then Bester had made a comment about acceptable limits on losses. I would like to know what his definition of that is. Like what's acceptable.
Let me give him a call and find out.
Yeah, that'd be great if you could do that. Where the fuck was Zach's helmet? Everyone else was wearing a helmet, but Zach. when they had their little confrontation shootout in like the hallway or whatever.
He doesn't have to follow the rules because he's the leader. Oh, I'm sorry.
Is that just so we know it's him, so we can see his face and be like, oh, that's Zach.
I mean, if you had hair like he did, would you want to mess it up?
Right?
Also, he can't even get the damn uniform to fit right. Imagine trying to put a helmet on.
Yeah, poor Zach. Seriously, at any point in the remaining, 10 episodes? How many do we have left?
10 episodes and a couple movies.
Okay, will there be an episode where I might dislike Sheridan a little bit less?
I really can't answer that question because
okay, so that's a hard no right
really
there.
It's really hard to predict how you feel about stuff.
That's a problem. Does Sheridan get shown in a good light? Yes. In several episodes, he does. Will you get off your high fucking horse and say that you actually like it?
That's a whole nother question.
It took a long time to climb up here. I ain't getting off it. Okay.
That's what she said. Any predictions?
Well, I mean, yeah, I feel like this might be the end of the Telepath War, but I don't feel like it's the actual end of the shit since they just someone blew up Psy-Corps headquarters. So I think Buster's gonna go on a little rampage. And that is all, sir.
Nicole, questions, prediction.
Can I stop worrying about Franklin, or is he in danger? Is my first question. Because I still have a bad feeling. I don't know. I'm very protective over him for some reason.
I don't know when, I don't know how, but something bad's gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. Is Garibaldi gonna spiral out of control, or is he gonna get it together? Like, how bad is it gonna get with the alcohol? And do they find out? And what do they do about it?
Nicole, I'm gonna give you what I was gonna give you in a few moments anyway. Next week's episode is called The Ragged Edge.
Okay.
Enjoy.
Oh boy. Okay. And then question wise, other than that, I would say, what's next for Bester? Like, is he going to chill a bit, or is he going to go the complete opposite and be insane? I agree with what you said at the end. He was in shock, Scott. So I'm wondering if that will soften him a little, or if he's going to just go off the rails. I'm thinking probably off the rails, but I'm just curious where he's going to go. And then prediction wise, I think Lita and the Colt, we're going to see them again. We're going to see some problems with them. I'm interested to see what's going to happen if Lita has to face off against her former friends. I'm a little worried about that situation. Like if she has to face off against Sheridan and Garibaldi and Franklin and, the crew. I think that's going to get ugly.
Okay. I got really fucking confused, by the way, when you said Lita and the Cult, and it sounded like Lita and Nicole.
Oh, that's what I heard.
I was like,
Lita and the Cult.
Did you just put yourself in... And after I thought about it, I was like, that's definitely not what she said. But I was
yeah.
Did you just put yourself in the story? Okay.
It could have
Pat's
also...
going to go on an adventure.
Yeah. Listen, I will say I would hang out with Pat Tallman. So give me a call, Pat.
Okay, we'll go ahead and wind it down there for our newbies. Next week, we'll be back for episode 13, which is The Ragged Edge. Nicole, live in fear. Until then, I've been Scott, and with me has been...
Emily.
Justin.
Nicole.
And Kevin.
And their 3 wives.
The fuck is that?
Click all the links. Click the buttons.
Buy some merch.
Like us. Like us. I did just put in the... on the Redbubble link, I did put Londo Jacquard 2024 campaign mugs if you like those.
Nice.
We'll see y'all next week.
All right, toodles.
Bye.
You can donate to my vacation fund by doing X, Y, and Z. I don't know. Cool beans.
All right, gentlemen. Have a good night.
All right.
Take it easy.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Grey 17, a Babylon 5 podcast. You can find all the places to listen to and watch this podcast at anchor.fm/Grey17podcast or youtube.com @Grey17podcast. We want to hear from you, so join the conversation at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, or Patreon. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review where you are listening to or watching this podcast. Grey 17 is not affiliated with, and the podcast has not been prepared, approved, or licensed by Warner Brothers or any other owners of the Babylon 5 copyright. All clips included in this podcast are the intellectual property of the respective copyright holders. They are included here for purpose of review, and no infringement is intended. The opening and closing themes are available from Falling Matter on YouTube.
And what's out there?
The rim,
And beyond that?
the truth.
Welcome back to Beyond the Rim. Again, this is a spoiler section, so if you have not watched past Phoenix Rising, you should leave now. If not, Kevin and I are going to dive into these. I don't know why these folks think this way, but they do. So these questions and predictions. So, Kevin, first off, was that it? Was that the whole Telepath war? Question mark.
Well, we don't get to see the Telepath War. Babylon 5 fans have wanted to see the Telepath War for 25, 30 years, and we have 25, I guess, and we haven't gotten to. But we do see a little bit more, but not very much.
Yeah, we see like the uprising through Lita blowing shit up.
Yeah. And then there is some side canon about a little bit with Lita and whatnot, but there really isn't a lot more there, unfortunately. But it is something that I hope that if JMS decides that he's going to do more and it gets picked up, that he does something with it, because I think it would be a fun storyline, because it wouldn't include Byron.
Yes, he does stay dead. Speaking of side canon, does Garibaldi ever get to end Bester?
Well, that's kind of a thing inside canon, isn't it, Scott?
Yes, it is. Garibaldi realizes that he can't get the block removed, so he's never going to be able to kill Bester, but he sure can hunt him down and get him arrested. So after the Telepath War, Bester is hunted down by Garibaldi. It's in some books. And Bester winds up being put in prison for 10 years. We find out more stuff about Bester. He is the son of a major telepath, and there's a whole bunch of things there that we won't go into right now. But Bester does die of natural causes in his prison. And two fun facts about that is, and we saw it in this episode, Bester can't unclench his fist. That's a thing that Walter Koenig did for the character and just ran with it. When Bester's body is found, his fist is unclenched, almost like he gave up the ghost. And Garibaldi does go to his grave and leaves a wooden stake. That is side canon. And I love it.
Walter Koenig doesn't have anything wrong with that hand at all. He brought that into the.
That was a character choice. He decided that and it wasn't even a JMS thing. JMS has said it wasn't in the script.
Okay.
Wasn't in the show Bible. Koenig just decided Bester has a clenched fist at all times.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
It's kind of like there's a anecdote from the West Wing. Richard Schiff, who played Toby in the West Wing, would not take off his wedding ring. Aaron Sorkin's like, "You're wearing a wedding ring, but Toby's not married." And he said, "Well, I'm not taking it off, so that's for you to figure out." That's how we got the whole Toby ex-wife kids storyline, because Richard Schiff wouldn't take off his wedding ring. So I kind of like when actors have that little stuff that they throw in.
Or the one earring with Claudia Christian.
Yeah, same idea. It's just,
hey, I like the whole ex-wife married not married thing in West Wing with Toby. Mm-hmm. I think that's a great storyline.
And that all came because Richard just wouldn't take off his wedding ring.
I never knew that. That's really interesting.
So speaking of stuff that didn't happen, was Garibaldi behind the bombing?
No, move on.
I don't understand this.
Yeah, we were kind of messaging back and forth while they were talking about this, and we're just completely perplexed as to how they arrived at the theory that Garibaldi had anything to do with the bombing on Mars. Sure, he's got contacts on Mars. Would he plan a bombing?
No.
Even just
He's not an evil bastard.
Yeah, no, come on. I mean, like, if the block was gone, would he bomb to kill Bester in a New York minute?
Mm-hmm. But Bester has it coming, so that's fine.
But would he risk too many other people? No, absolutely not. He is not an evil guy.
He's not a terrorist. Emily's brain is a very dank place. I don't understand it, and I've been trying to understand it for literally a quarter of a century. I don't get it. It's just it's dark in there. I don't get it. Then Emily also asked, what are Bester's acceptable loss limits?
Mundanes, end of list.
That's pretty much it. I think, and I mean, I get where you can go both ways on this, but for me personally, I think Bester believes any telepath death is a depletion of the whole. And now he's willing to off people if he needs to, because he is an end goal, but he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to kill telepaths. But humans, they don't matter. They're fine.
Yeah, and we could argue about the whole Byron thing, but I think he would at least consider Byron specifically an acceptable loss.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, we'll see him in 2 episodes, and he's not shedding a tear about it.
No, he's not losing sleep.
I am really looking forward to Nicole watching the Cora's mother, the Cora's father. I think it's going to be an interesting experience. And then we also got Justin with all of the Nazi undertones. It's going to be a fun conversation.
I have a quick question for you, Scott. So and please forget, I don't mean to trigger you at this comparison, but
am I going to get triggered? Ooh.
is the Psy-Corps, they take away kids from their parents when the parents are mundanes.
Correct.
Do they ever have contact again with their family?
I think that's called out by, maybe it's Talia, or it may even be like that guy who was reprogrammed to be a Mars terrorist back a long time ago. Somebody says it, that once you leave your parents, Psy-Corps becomes your family.
Yeah.
You never see your family again.
So in a really twisted way, it's kind of like the portrayal of the Jedi Order in Star Wars, because they don't usually go back or have any contact. Okay.
Yeah.
So if your parents are telepaths, though, would Bester have had interactions on a regular basis with his father?
So Bester's an interesting case because in side canon, he is the son of 2 resistance leaders, and his birth name is Stephen Kevin Dexter. He is given up by his resistant parents who are trying to take down the Psy-Corps, and he is brought in to the Psy-Corps. He becomes a very powerful P-12, and he wants to become the best Psy-Corps cop that has ever existed. And so the irony there is he's the child of people trying to bring down the Corps, and he becomes the Corps. But he is kind of orphaned. His original parents are both killed by Bloodhound units who are trying to hunt them down. So that's Bester's backstory.
I don't know. I guess my theory would be then that if the birth wasn't sanctioned by the Corps, which we know they do, that they pair people up for other reasons than love, just to create a more powerful telepath. Yeah. So it kind of sounds like no matter what, you're giving up your kids, or at least to the Corps, from the sound of it.
I think they're being literal when they say the Corps' mother, the Corps' father.
Right.
Once you become part of the Corps, even if your parents may be somewhere else, doesn't matter. You are now being trained by the Corps.
But they do mention that Bester has children, and it sounds like, I don't know, it sounds like they might be part of his life from the way they describe it, but that could just be conjecture on
and it's been literally 4 or 5 years since I've watched season 5, but in 2 episodes, we get a very heavy Bester episode at Psy-Corps headquarters that may answer some of these questions too.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just not remembering. So if you want to tell us how stupid we are in the comments, feel free, and we'll catch up in 2 weeks.
Right.
Moving right along, can Nicole stop worrying about her good buddy Franklin? Is Franklin going to be okay?
Yes, he's going to be fine. He
Yeah,
makes it out of the series. He is in the road home. I wish the story was as happy for Richard Biggs, but it is not. But yes, you cannot worry about Franklin. He is going to make it out of the series.
Richard Biggs is a tragedy because he died of a heart complication.
Yeah, and he was the healthiest of them all from all of their accounts.
But yeah, no, we've kind of alluded to this before, but I think Franklin's story peaked with the Walkabout, and after that, he's a good character. Don't get me wrong, but he doesn't have any more arc.
Right. But they do get him something to do once in a while, and he doesn't have any more cringe too much after that either. So that was early.
What's next for Bester? Will this make him snap, or will he be more mellow?
Moving on.
Now, Bester is still a psychop. We will see him in 2 weeks, and he is a manipulative bastard. But he also, again, he's the hero of his own story, and we will see this in 2 weeks, and I'm interested to see how Nicole handles this. He is a manipulative fuck, but he's not shown as being a really bad guy. He is who he is. But we'll talk about it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and for all of my wonderings about the character and why he's involved, thank God he is, because Walter Koenig's portrayal is chef's kiss.
And we've all said this. I know you and I have both said this. I think Bester, when I think Walter Koenig, I don't think Chekhov. Chekhov's a good character, don't get me wrong, but he gets so much more to do with Bester.
I'm not even sure he's that great. I mean, he really didn't get a lot to do, but
Yeah, in the movies, kinda.
Yeah.
Last question. What will happen if Lita has to face off against the B5 crew?
She doesn't really have to too much.
She will start some shit back home. She will start some stuff against Psychor, and in a few episodes' time, it will be determined that she will leave B5 because she's a troublemaker, because she's trying to stir resistance against Psychor. And then she'll take a 2-year hiatus with Jakar to explore the Rim, and then she'll blow up Psychor with Lanier, I guess.
Yeah.
Question mark?
But there isn't a lot with her against the B5 crew in that same way that the question's being asked.
No, she kind of just becomes a rabble rouser.
Yeah.
Predictions. Garibaldi and Lita are going to hunt down Bester. Garibaldi does. Lita blows stuff up. So they're both going to be against the Psychor in one shape or form, but it's not like they're going to be a tag team.
Yeah.
EarthGov will turn against the Psychor.
Oh, if only.
I mean, technically they do during the Telepath War, when it already escalates to a point where it's a war. But we still, I mean, to your point, JMS has never written the story fully. There are the Telepath War books, but I still think they don't give as much detail on the actual war than what I think JMS would do if he actually wrote some scripts. He's kind of kept that area to himself to where if he ever wants to do something, he can do it.
Right.
Garibaldi and Lockley are going to smash.
No, they're not. For all of Garibaldi's issues in season 5, he is devoted to Lise. Why she's devoted to him is another question, but he is devoted to Lise, and they are not going. Lockley and Garibaldi are not going to smash.
Corwin is going to smash Lockley's hologram, but that's for a movie.
Oh boy.
And Emily says, this is not the end of the Telepath War. She's correct.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
It is the little start of a fire that will become the Telepath War that we will never see. Anything else you want to add, Kevin?
No, I think we covered it all.
I feel we burned enough bridges for one night.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and end it there, and you can find us at all of the links down below. Please feel free to join the conversation. And if you do want to join this Beyond the Rim conversation, we do have a spoiler section on our Discord that you can get to through our Patreon. And we'll be back here next week to talk more Garibaldi drinking with the Ragged Edge. I've been Scott, and with me has been...
This is Kevin.
Sounds good, boss.
All right. Good show. Thanks.
You can talk to me. Everyone talks to me. People like talking to me. I guess I just have that kind of face.
And if Garibaldi is killed?
Zach gets his room.